Welcome to Coffee and Curveballs. I am Tommy. He is Shooter. And right before I hit record, I saw Shooter pick up what was probably the biggest cup of coffee I've ever seen because I don't think he slept yet since the Super 60. How is your sleep rhythm right now, Shooter?
Oh, it's not very good. I need an IV of caffeine just funneling through me, but it's all sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, getting after it here. I got to talk about the Super 60.
Yeah, so in this episode, we're going to be recapping what happened out of the Super 60. We're going to start with the top players, and we talked about him last week, but it's Max Clark.
Yeah, especially these top three. These are guys that show out. Great event. Over 100 MLB scouts were there. The kids coming out really kicks off that draft road to July. So let's show off their scouting directors, cross-checkers, special assistants. All those guys are there to watch it. And Max Clark was a big reason for a lot of them being there. I mean, just the makeup of the kid, he has that mature quality to him where the pressure's on him. He's able to go out there and perform. He just hit it at the event, which was nice to see. He's changed some things. He talked about it the night before, what those changes have done. His hands are a little bit lower, freeing him up, working uphill. I think some guys are questioning those power numbers. I think it's something that he's going to want to show off a little bit throughout the spring. I think it's already there. He doesn't have to do much, but look good. Took BP, banging balls off the back net throughout. The balance is there. Obviously, elite athleticism from him.
Yeah, and you must have heard some of the rumblings about the power numbers because I saw him on Twitter posting his deadlift. So I think he is ready to prove everybody wrong in those regards. Normally, we see kids will hold themselves back, try and get the last of those 18-year-old years in high school. But here's a kid who is the complete opposite.
Yeah, you're looking at George Wolcott. He's a South Carolina recruit from the state of Illinois. Classed up. So he was a 24. He's now the youngest kid in this 23 class. I want to say he just turned 17 in January or so. But you wouldn't know it looking at him. The frame is elite. Pro 6'7" frame, wide shoulders. What I loved about the swing throughout is he stays compact, right? You have those long levers. It's easy to lose track of those, having an inconsistent barrel path. He didn't. And he was banging balls all over. It's already been a big start to the year for him. Tons of buzz throughout. Then you look at the algorithm and just how young he is and what he's able to do right now. It's going to be exciting for scouting departments. I think he's got a slam dunk day one chance right now, and that could continue to rise with what he's done so far just in the last few weeks. But he banged the ball all over. He runs well. He's an athlete. I don't know defensively where he'll end up. Corner outfield, first base. He can also pitch. He's got a good arm. But that bat is exciting, especially from the left side.
And you mentioned the algorithm with the age. How much is him being the youngest player in this class going to affect his draft status and everything beyond?
I think it's huge, and it's a big reason probably why he did up class. You look back to last year, Cam Collier was a first-round pick. Ironically, another kid from Illinois who went to junior college route, ended up being a first-rounder. So you look at those two guys. Now he's longer, similar to a guy who came out of your neck of the woods, Spencer Jones, who's a first rounder out of Vanderbilt. Big levers, not quite as smooth as Spencer Jones, but I think the power is probably way more projectable for him right now, which, shoot, everybody's paying for power.
And rounding up the top at number 3, we got Drew Burris.
Drew Burris, another famous guy. I like to say right off the bat, undersized as a new 6'4". That's the trademark for it. And when he steps up to the plate, there is an allure to like what this guy does. Now, he's proven in the past for 4 years, had huge power numbers last year throughout high school. It's exciting to watch him on the diamond, the way he moves. And then he goes out, all eyes on him in this BP, and it's barrel after barrel. There is heaviness to the way he swings. He can turn it. But he wasn't trying to do too much, hardly breaking a sweat. And for the other guys who can get juiced up, we're trying to do so much in front of these scouts, and they'll roll over a couple. He didn't do that. It was just barrel after barrel, moves well through it. It was 99 from the outfield, so he's got an absolute bazooka out there. So there is that elite athleticism, and I think he's another one who could potentially jump into that day one consideration. He's a Georgia Tech recruit. Either way, there'll definitely be guys trickling around and locked in on him this spring.
So those are the guys at the top. We're going to talk about the arms later, but right now we need to ride on into the position players, starting with Ryder Robinson.
Yeah, Ryder Robinson, we talked to him in the lead up to the show as a guy I thought would break out. I thought he was outstanding. 6'2", 185. The frame looks even better than when I saw him at the Future Games. He really emerged a couple years ago on the national map. Switch hitter, everything comes naturally to him. It's just so smooth. And I think the frame's going to hold a lot more strength and weight in the future. Probably shifts off shortstop more to third base, second base, offensive type guy. But when you're looking at kids who've come out of Utah, gone to TCU, he's very similar to the Braden Taylor types where he can get on campus, explode there, unless somebody's willing to really dive in, get into Utah multiple times throughout the spring. But he showed out, and he's one where I was circling, like, if he makes it to campus, we're going to be talking about this guy in a few years. Like, hey, that was one of the dudes that was at this event.
Another guy on this list is a NAST recruit going to Arkansas.
Nas Zanatello. Yeah, Nas did a great job. We've known the premium athleticism that's coming out of him. 6'2", 185. He posted a 6'6", 60-yard dash. I think it was 95 from the outfield. Also went 90 across on the infield. I think in the future, he'll probably move most likely to the outfield as a premium defender in center field. But what stood about him was what he did at the plate. Some subtle changes, doesn't take much, real simple from the right side, and there's explosiveness. Just looking at those blast metrics, the blast motion metrics, he was off the charts, that rotational acceleration. He's able to speed up in a hurry in a short box, not doing too much, and the ball's still jumping off the bat. If he continues to hit this spring, I think he can be making a significant amount of money.
Moving on the list, a guy who has their second fastest recorded 60 on the list with a 6'6", going to Alabama. Who is it?
Yeah, Evan Hager's a guy I loved early on in high school for a sweet stroke from the left side, but he kind of blew me away at this. Just all aspects, 6'6", gliding to that running times. Kid from Michigan, committed to Alabama. And then goes to the outfield, just bouncy out there, right? In a showcase setting, it's not easy to see like an outfielder's hands, but his hands stood out, just how confident they were, and the bounce that he had, high-waisted frame. And then, he's at the plate, took some of the best rounds of the day. Left-handed hitter, able to create that quickness in a tight window. Ball was jumping off the bat. I think he's going to really hit. Provided a little glimpse of some future power in there. Can stick in center field. I mean, he's got a lot going for him. Whether or not it's in the draft as a northern hitter, it's going to be, he's going to have to get out there, have a nice weather-wise spring. But if not, going to the SEC, you look at a guy like that who's an easy top 3 rounder in 3 years.
A guy I want to ask you about, because I know you were there, but I don't know if you were physically there for this moment of the 60. Cole Eaton apparently threw the ball 101 miles an hour from the outfield. Is that accurate?
It's very accurate, and I've never seen 101, so I went over and took a picture of that and put it out. I mean, the kid's a freak. Like, it's just a freaky athleticism coming out of Nebraska. And I can remember when he was committed to Tony Vitale at Tennessee, you just envision, like, this kid must be a freak. If he's already committed to Tennessee, they went in there and found him. Oh, well, guess what? I mean, Vols fan, he is. Can really run 6'5". It's easy, probably sticks in center field. Obviously, that arm strength. I mean, if he wants to hop on the bump, like
I was about to say, 101. Hey,
Frank Anderson could maybe get you up to 105 at this point. But he swung it well, really gained that strength from the ground up, gets into his solid base, allows that athleticism to shine. Another guy, tight window, quickness, works short to long from the right side. Ball jumps off the bat. And really, when I'm evaluating, like, where are we putting these guys at? Shoot, the way Tennessee is producing these athletes and raising their draft status right now, a guy like that gets on the campus and all of a sudden he explodes, and you're looking at, hey, is this the Drew Gilbert 2.0? So we'll see what happens with him.
Moving along the SEC, because it seems like a lot of these kids are committed to SEC schools, an Ole Miss recruit, Seth Barney.
Yeah, Farney's a guy I've loved for a few years now, and it's more so for me in the gameplay. Like, there's intent to what he's doing. There's a quiet intensity to everything he does. He brought this to the showcase setting, switch hitter, really aggressive at the plate, moves well. There's probably more movement, but everything works in unison. The hands work deep and back from both sides of the plate with a bigger leg kick, and my man's looking to do damage with each swing. And it's not out of control. It's that controlled aggression. Hammers the baseball, and having seen him do it in game, it's easier to watch this stuff. He's going to go to the outfield and look the part out there. But I love the fact that he's a gamer. We keep talking about these SEC guys, but I mean, Ole Miss is getting a good one there. He's a little bit older for the class, so I want to say he'd be a draft eligible soft. So we'll see what happens with the draft, but I think there's definitely going to be guys getting out to his games this spring.
The pride of the Xavier Musketeers recruiting class, Sam Schaub.
I'm grabbing a little bit of that coffee first.
Go for it. Yeah, I know. We're working through that. What's that, your third one today already? Only at 10 in the morning.
Just give me that espresso into the veins.
We need to get that IV working.
So you're talking Sammy Shaw here, and Xavier actually had a great day. We'll talk about an arm from there too. More of a utility guy defensively, solid arm. He's going to find his way on the feet. It was the feel for the barrel from the left side. I think he was the last guy to swing, and it was just came so naturally. Rob Allison throwing the entire BP session, which yeoman's work. It was incredible. And by the end, like this guy was able to find the barrel in different zones. Almost looked like he was up in Canada, chopped down his own tree, made his own bat, called it Wonder Boy, and said, I'm going to go out there and rake. 5'10", about 190-ish, compact frame. I think he's going to hit. We'll see what happens with the draft, but if not, Big East arms, look out.
Throwing, how many pitches do you think that is, throwing a whole BP to yourself?
Oh, man. I think he did calculate it. I forgot what he told me about it. But that guy needed a beer and a bucket and something to do with some ice.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the ibuprofen should be out of the vending machine there. I mean, you got to make sure all the kids get the same pitch, right? So you got to keep it fair for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to be out there the whole time. Going on to Chase Crewson.
So Chase Crewson, Duke recruit from Pittsburgh. And what immediately stood out to me, I've seen him since he was a freshman. Always hits, left-hander, just following. The frame has gotten better, uber athletic, square shoulder, like, wow. Didn't realize that you were this strong, but should have expected it from a Pittsburgh kid. But one of the better left-hand strokes that were there. And the bat speed stood out. There's a little funk late in the load, it's always been there. It's innate to him, which, you know what, as long as he's comfortable with it and not getting beat, that's fine. The bat speed was there. Everything was hit hard, barrel after barrel. The balance was there. Obviously, a great athlete, moved well in the outfield. He was one of the bigger takeaways for me where I wasn't expecting it to be that good and was excited about what he showed up with.
We got two more on this list, starting with Adam.
So Adam Agrest, first guy to hit, first guy to throw. It kind of was, hey, get up there. You're the New York kid. You got a little swag to you. Get in the box and make it happen. Physical, but a real athlete. Catcher who ran a 6.75. Outstanding. Barrel after barrel. There's definitely power there. The frame stands out. He has an absolute bazooka of an arm and was probably the best receiver there when watching the arms throughout, which is another thing to be interested in. Again, northern hitter, cold weather hitter. We'll see what happens. But I will say he was catching Gary Gilhill, was a sixth rounder a year ago. So those scouts, area guys who were in there last year to see Gary, definitely got to see Agresti. So he's definitely got a longer track record.
Last guy on our notable 9, Easton Fogel.
So Easton Fogel, Minnesota outfielder, committed to Arizona. I just love the swing. Left-hander, it's athletic, moves well through impact. There's some acceleration of those hands. I think power will continue to come. He just needs some high-level reps. So like once either signing and getting those 1,000 at-bats or going off the University of Arizona, getting foul ball underway, that's going to allow his high ceiling to be reached quicker. Moves well in the outfield, arms probably average or below, but it's a premium athlete running wise. If I could throw in one more guy before I
skipped somebody. I'm sorry, I was about to say. I think I skipped Luke Stevenson.
Luke Stevenson, who took some of my favorite rounds of the day from left side. I've said it a couple times, but creating that quickness in a short window, like, it doesn't take much for him to generate that bat speed and still work short to long through the zone. His entire day was similar to kid Hayden Dunhurst a few years ago, Ole Miss national champion, now in pro ball. But he swung it very similar. Everything's balanced. Ball jumps off the bat. There's definitely power there now. Great transfer behind the dish. Everything was quick. The feet will continue to speed up a little bit, but everything was on the bag. Strong arm. I think he's definitely another one who scouts, especially the Carolinas, they do such a great job, will be in there. If not, at Chapel Hill, he has that leader type mentality and that aura to him. Haven't talked to him a bit, but excellent day from him as well.
So those are the 9 position guys. Moving on to some arms, we got to talk about 9 of them also, starting with a young man who we've talked about, I think, a bunch of times, is Blake Walters.
Yeah, I think I said Walters was going to be the one that came out of this, and my man backed me up. So he hopped on the mound late, committed to the University of Arizona, 6'4", 250 or 195-ish. Still like not a super mature face, so I think there's still more. But he comes out and he goes up to 97.7 miles an hour on the track, man. There's more in the tank from this guy. His ability to get down the mound, I feel like the extension was like, it almost looked like he was at 8 feet, just placing the ball in the mitt. Throwing strikes with that. I think the slider was probably more average in this look, but it definitely has upside. Like I think there is a potential swing and miss there. Changeup's a distant third right now, but with the explosiveness of that fastball slider potential and the frame and the relatively low innings based on him playing a lot of basketball and being from the southern part of Illinois, that upside is unique and exciting. And I think there were probably a lot of guys who are quickly trying to get his number so they could talk to him, get an in-home visit, and circling his games for the spring.
Yeah, last chance. I guess you got a couple months left to impress him. Another kid who maybe some schools have a chance to impress because right now he's signed to go to community college. It's Brandon Stone.
Yeah, JUCO route guy, and he was another one where I had seen some stuff on him. 6'4", 185, so it's a wiry athletic frame. And everything looked good. Hopped on the mound. I think it was 88 to 91. So the velo doesn't blow you away, which that doesn't matter. Velo will come. It's kind of the easiest thing to teach right now. And he's going to get stronger. The spring will go on. I would expect he's a 91 and 94 guy at some point this spring. It's nice there in Kansas. But from over the top, steep, plane, downhill, it was a difficult look. But it's just pounding the zone. So what was cool about him is he went almost over the top downhill with a fastball curveball. So more depth to that. And then, I asked him afterwards, a week ago, I started dropping down a little bit, and maybe in his head, he's thinking he's dropping down, but it just got to a regular 3/4 slot, and it was still coming out electric, and he was able to tunnel a sweeping slider off of that. Now, whether or not he's going to utilize two different angles moving forward, we'll see. But the fact that he's athletic enough to do that really stood out to me. And the fact that he has aptitude with that spin, he was really a revelation.
We'll move diagonally from Kansas to Indiana, where Bishop Letson is.
Yeah, I think if you polled the audience there and all those scouts, Bishop Letson was probably the best arm there. You just watch what he went through. I think a lot of guys would say that he would definitely challenge for that top spot. 91, 94, everything works easy, has a starter profile, spins there, dropping in for strikes, but he came out pumping strikes at 93, 93, 93, 93, bottom of the zone, works really well down the mound. He's a smooth mover, arm works loose and continuous. He checked all the boxes. I was excited to see him. He's a Purdue recruit, and I think he's probably one of those bigger circles coming out with a couple pluses next to him.
Congrats to him, and congrats to the 4 people who understand the chess reference I made in that segue. I was really proud of myself. Hope somebody got it. Anyway, moving on to some action. Jacob Bean going to Kent State.
Yeah, and if you don't know it coming from out west, Kent State rolls out dudes. Like lots of arms go there and produce, and that's a big reason for why Jacob Bean was there. Love the way the arm work. Always going to Kent. If he gets to school, shoot, that may be a 2nd or 3rd rounder if he gets to school. He showed up, loose whip to the arm action. Another guy who moves well down the mound. Secondary still coming along, which happens, especially it's only February right now for him in Ohio. But 92, 93. The ball comes out well. There's more velo in the tank. Just love the loose whip to that arm, and he's only going to get better.
Back to Indiana and back to another Xavier recruit, Jake Hooker, who, if I'm not mistaken, has been clocked at 95.
Yeah, and you talk about back to Indiana for those power arms. I always like to say, Indiana, what do? They do jump shots and power arms. That's what Indiana does. So I'm sure he's got a sweet-looking Jay. But, yeah, up to 95. And this is a kid committed to Xavier as a two-way. So there's some athleticism in the infield. Chance to hit, it's probably going to be on the mound. 92 to 95, 6'2", 200-pound frame, thicker lower half, which is really helping him gain some strength from the lower half. But it came out easy. Wasn't a super whippy arm action, but it was powerful. There's more in the tank. He's going to throw hard. And I love the fact that he's also a position player. So there is that aptitude of the athleticism to make those adjustments in the future.
Another guy who does kind of both is Kyle Johnson.
Yeah, Kyle Johnson did do both. He's a Duke commit from the state of Virginia. One of those backwards guys where he hits right-handed and throws left-handed. Took some good swings. There's some power in there. I love what he does on the mound. He probably was the most efficient bullpen of the day. Hopped on there, pounded the zone with 3 pitches. He was probably done in 90 seconds or less, which is saying something when you're at a showcase like that. But everything's easy. I don't think there's a plus pitch in there right now. What's plus about him is that he does pound the zone, so that the command of those pitches, his ability to throw 3 for strikes, will really help him. The velocity is going to come, and it's that breaking ball make a jump, especially if he gets to campus. I think in the next 3 years he could grow to an even higher level.
If we have him in our arms section, is this a two-way guy in college, or is this just going to be a pitcher?
I think he's definitely got a chance at two-way in the fall. If he gets to Duke, they'll definitely let him swing the bat. But I think at some point that arm's going to become pretty valuable from the left side.
Going to Nebraska, a guy who's going to stay in state and go to Creighton, it is Shea Went.
Yeah, and Shea Went, I was a guy I liked this summer. I love the spin metrics, really good fastball. Obviously 90 and 93, so there is velocity there now. There's more in the tank, 3 pitches for strikes. Each of the pitches flash that potential of being above average, which is something to get excited by when you're looking at those carrying tools. But moved well down the mound. When I'm stacking stuff up, you look at a guy like Shea Went and Bishop Letson and Jacob Bean, like how do they come into together? Where do they stack up together? So he's up in that conversation, especially should those spin metrics continue to jump. But big year in Nebraska for some sneaky guys, especially the Creighton Blue Jays.
Now, I don't know if this is the fastest that was clocked, but 97's got to be pretty close. Chase Meyer going to West Virginia. I mean, that had to be eye-popping.
So Meyer's got absolute electric stuff. And the biggest thing to me, did everything from the stretch and almost had a Yu Darvish type feel to the way his delivery was. And when you have that ability, especially at a young age, to control your movement patterns and have some pauses and whatnot, and still pound the zone, still find a consistent slot, that stands out to me. Fastball, 92 to 95. There's more in the tank. He hardly broke a sweat. 97, 98, even 99 this spring as he builds up is definitely in the cards. Breaking ball, didn't land it as consistently, but the audible sound of him ripping off from behind is something that I loved. There's intent to it without being out of control. I thought it was a plus changeup. Threw it angry, and it tunneled that fastball and just dove out of the way. So he's got 3 pitches to move on with. He can make those adjustments. I mean, we'll see what happens this spring with him.
Final guy on the list is Max Knight.
Max Knight, another two-way. So he also swung. It took some of the better swings from the left side. Still adding strength so that power will come. And I really like the bat. I've seen him hit in game in the past on the national scene. But hops on the mound, and it's just real easy. I think it was a second arm to throw, and the velocity's not standing out right now, right? 88 to 90 maybe, but can really spin the breaking ball. I think there's upside to that. He can make those adjustments. Athletic, arm really works loose. I'm a big fan of Max Knight. I do think that he's got a chance to jump, and most scouting departments, I would think, are stashing him a little bit. You won't hear too much buzz about him rising so loud because guys are going to want to get him and not tell anybody else. But I love him.
The mystery man, Max Knight at the end. So those are 9 arms, 9 position players, and of course the 3 at the top. Shooter, anything else you want to add? By the way, we will be breaking down more of this event in later videos. So if you didn't hear your name or the name of the recruit you're looking for, don't worry. It'll come in a week. I promise. Anything else you want to add?
No, just a stellar event. Thanks to the over 100 scouts are there, a lot of big-time decision makers, and the entire staff for what we do. It's always our big kickoff event of the year. Another great Super 60, the 21st of its existence.
Yeah, and if you're a scout and you're not there, what are you doing? Come on, get on that list. Shooter, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.